off. So there we go. So now I shouldn't get any feedback. So I'd like to welcome you to this stream. My name is Kevin Rank. I run MakerFun3D.com, and today I will be opening a Sovol 3D SV02. This packing stuff off here. Don't need that. This is their dual filament 3D printer, FDM printer, and this is one that I've been actually really looking forward to getting my hands on. Just realized I do not have my Leatherman on me, so I have to use some of my other tools to start this unboxing. So I'll be putting this together on the stream. So I want to thank Sovol 3D for sending this over to me. This was sent to me by them, but no other money has changed hands. This is my review on this is going to be my honest opinion. I do admit I do really I've got the Sovol SV01 here. This is my workhorse 3D printer now. I really do like the SV01. So when they offered me the SV02 for this review, I jumped at it because this, like I said, this is one of my favorite 3D printers. Let's see here. So here's the box, just pulling out some of the materials that goes with it. I've got a box of goodies here, guessing all the tools and knickknacks. Yep, all the parts, stuff like that. A couple of rolls of filament. Now, I'm going to assume this is the filament that they sell, or this is similar to it. I have several boxes of it up here. Well, you can't really see it, but I have several boxes of the Sovol black and the white. I really like their black and white PLA glass build plate, which is a really nice kind of a ultra base type build plate. Here is the tower, and you can see that it has dual Z axis motors, so that's kind of a nice feature. The SV01 has that as well, so in theory you should get more even raising of your bed, or of your nozzle. And the plate here. Sorry, these are not always easy to get out by yourself. So there we go. This is probably one of the easiest unboxings I think I've ever done. So this is new. Okay. So it looks like we basically have the printer mostly built already, and it's just going to literally be putting the top on the bottom. So I expect this will be a fairly easy 3D printer to build. So for those of you that are looking for a 3D printer that is easy to build, simple, this may be the one for you. So here's the USB cord. This is one of the, or actually this is both of the uprights for the filament holders. Looks like a Z-stop, if I'm not mistaken. This is their touchscreen. This is new. I've not tried their touchscreen before, so I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. Sorry, it's the winter. I get a little bit of bronchitis. It really sucks. Okay, let's get rid of that. And looks like they've changed these a little bit. I could have sworn these before were screw on. I could be wrong, but there we go. That's how you put these on. Pretty simple. Just figured I'd get this out of the way because I kind of know how they go. Kind of like trying to get this apart is kind of like the 3D printed box I made, the one with the maze in it for my daughter for Christmas, so that she'd have a little bit of work to get her gift certificates out. So these are some screws and miscellaneous screws. Here's all the tools, power supply, micro SD card and micro SD card adapter. Having a hard time getting to this. There we go. So it uses a kind of a generic style card there. So I'll probably end up swapping that out for a known good card, but it's a nice little adapter for plugging in your computer. I use a SD card to micro SD adapter in my computer, but for those that don't have them, that's kind of a convenient piece. Deal to pry your prints off with. Because it's glass, I don't generally use these, though this has a nice little, well, nice sharp bevel to it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see that. That's got a nice long sharp bevel, so I think this is more than I've seen on any other 3D printer, so I think that'll actually make for a really good tool to get prints off, because it's going to be so flat. So they come with a nozzle cleaner, an acupuncture needle basically to get up in there, which I've got a bunch of them already. I bought a kit of them. Miscellaneous tools to put it together, some zip ties for cable management, alligator clips. Use this to put the bed on. That's what I use on the SV01. I do know that there are some nice ones out there. I'm not going to open this. This is another set of clips, and I'll just use these clips since they're already here. So let's have a look at this really quick while I'm here. So let's see here. Yep, everything looks like I expect it to. Filament, yep. Gantry base. The display will go over here. Talks about display installation. Let's see. Oh, that must be what this is for. I was wondering, so it's got the Z-stop here. I was wondering what this extra plate was, and that's got to be for the, that'll go there. That'll be for the touchscreen here. Just trying to look at how this all goes. I've never used their touchscreen before, so this will be something interesting. I do have, for the SV01, I do have the Beal Touch. I just got in the laser module. I ordered that a week or two ago, and I've got their silent board. I really want to put all that on this week. Well, maybe next week. I have next week off as well, so I want to do that. So let's put the Gantry on. Oh yeah, there's also a really cool little deal that'll cover this, so you don't get, some stuff doesn't fall in this. It's on Thingiverse, a little 3D print, little simple thing. It'll work on the, it looks like it's the exact same thing on the SV01 as the SV02. Just snaps right in, real slick little cover. I printed that and the little spacer gap for the laser module. It took like 30 minutes, so I highly recommend doing that too. So let's get the piece and oh, I guess I should say this. This looks like some extra pieces and parts, extra nozzle, extra looks like an extra Bowden tube adapter. So here's all of our pieces and parts, which I did not get out my magnetic deal, unfortunately. So we're going to do 4 of these. Actually, move this out of the way. So for the gantry, this should be kind of interesting. I just want to make sure I've got this right. So this is going to go forward. like so. And get this up here. So one other thing I want you to notice, one thing that I do like about these Sovols, unlike some of the other inexpensive 3D printers, the SV01 has the same feature. You notice that it's got a full square base. That square base is actually pretty nice. It creates a tighter or a more solid base. If it's anything like, and if this is any, oops, if this is anything like my SV01, it's going to be nice and tight for the printing. It's going to be it'll print real cleanly because of that, at a fairly high speed. There we go. Get these gantries on. This one's a little harder to get to because of the power switch. I hope I'm not too garbled. This is where having a partner to help you with this would be really nice. I'd get my wife, but she's not a big fan of being on air, so I get to do it myself. There we go. So I got this. I got it. That was kind of funny. She actually came in, even though I said that. Let's see here. So I'm just going to make sure this fits. There we go. Yeah, these will fit. They actually use pretty good tools. So Sovol sends out, the little ratchet head, or the little ball heads there. Makes this a lot easier to work with. A whole lot easier than the straight ones. So I'm just going to do this. So while I have this up here, something else you might, you see right here, this is a foot. These are rubber feet. Again, a nice little simple upgrade. It's a rubber foot. And these work really, really well. I use, as you can see in the background, I use wire racks. They'll sit on the wires and distribute the weight a little bit. I need to get something to put under them on those. I actually have some big metal plates on some of these, not all of them. You can kind of see one right here. It's for I believe it's commercial. Commercial ovens, baking pans. So it's too big of a baking pan for a standard oven. But it works really, really well for these. Unfortunately, because they're so big, I can only fit one on, and if I put a half baking sheet on, the half baking sheets are a little too small. So there's not a good middle ground. That's one of these days I hope to find one. But I've got a half baking sheet and a full baking sheet, and it works pretty well, but it does not take up the whole shelf. And I really would like to find a better solution for the whole shelf. I've seen the shelf liners, and I'll probably get one of those one of these days for it. Just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. That'll be one of my future additions to the set. Oh, there we go. Hate to put too much pressure on the pieces and parts on the gantry there. There we go. Get this all screwed in and have the superstructure together at least. Just kind of get everything tightened up a little bit before I do the final tightening. There we go. Just kind of going back and forth to make sure it's tight. It doesn't. This is nothing really bind or to avoid binding as much as possible while I'm doing this. So I hope everybody's had a good Christmas. This is kind of a exciting little thing to be sent just after the holidays. I teach as my primary job. I'm a professor at a local university. So I have this time of the year off right now. So this is a kind of fun little project to have while I have that off. Okay, so I have those done. Now it's telling me to put on these. These will go up here. And I just want to make sure these other pieces and parts, there we go. Yeah, they're already ready to go. So this will go in here, and the T-nut goes on top on that. Yeah, if you ever want something fun, try to put one of these together completely by hand. My first 3D printer was a Tivo Tarantula, and it was one of the original kits where you basically had all the pieces and parts, and they came in a flat box like this, but nothing was put together. You had to put everything together. It took me, my first 3D printer, it came in, at the time I was working for a PBS station, and it came in while we were doing festivals, so I wasn't able to get right to it because of that. And it took me a couple weeks to get that done. So I'm going to move this down very slowly. I don't want any feedback. Now this is kind of interesting because the SV01 is a direct feed 3D printer, where this is a Bowden setup. Bowden, I'm not sure exactly how you're supposed to pronounce that. So these go like so, and hopefully the T-nuts catch. That did. That's a good sign, and hopefully that one did as well. Feels pretty solid there across them. So tighten this up. On my SV01, I actually have the filament hanging off the side. So this doesn't come up all the way on mine, but I generally don't print really tall things, I've discovered. So I figure if I need to, I can jump it on top. But you can see this has a pretty high build. Unfortunately, I did not actually look at the specs before this arrived, so I don't know what the build size is. I'm guessing it's the same as the SV01. I'm thinking it might be the same as the SV01, the same build size, so it's got a good size build surface, which is really nice. I've got an Ender 3 sitting right next to my SV01 over here, so you can see that there's an SV01, and the one that you just kind of barely see is the Ender 3 is there, and the one you can barely see is my SV01. Those are kind of my two primary printers. I'm going to actually probably move the Ender 3 over here and move one of those printers down below. Let's see here. So we've got these installed. Now I'm going to install this. So it looks like you want to make sure that it's mounted off the side. So you want the T-nuts on this side here, so that when you mount the display, it's going to be over here. Actually, you know what? Let's do one other thing first. There we go. Let's screw this in first. So I don't think these were extra screws. I think these screws are for this. It's a little smaller, and a little smaller, not even. So there we go. Yeah, I'm actually. Sorry, I'm just reading what this says. Oh, that's the Z-axis plate. It says to mount this with a lock washer, but I don't see any lock washers in the kit, so I may have to go back and add those later. Not that I think it's going to matter a huge amount here. So just getting these all plugged in here. Let's see here. There we go. 2 more to go. I have to admit, I am looking forward to the touch display. I don't have a lot of 3D printers with touch displays. I think my AlphaWise has one. Possibly both my AlphaWise. I don't have my glasses on. Haven't fired up my AlphaWise 3D printers in a while. It's kind of a shame. They're actually really nice printers. I've actually had fewer problems with my AlphaWise 3D printers than I have with my Creality CR10. But then again, I don't really print a lot of stuff that's really large. So pretty much everything I print goes on either the SV01 or the Ender 3. I have one of the early Ender 3s, back when they were really big. Or, well, not really big, but when they were first being very popular. Okay. So got one side in, and got the other side in. There we go. There we go. So now I've got a nice tight connection here. Just looking under here. Just looking at what the instructions say. It's showing plug the power cord down here somewhere, right there. Going to plug this in here to the display. You know what? I may have plugged the display in upside down. Or I might have set the display in upside down. Let's see here. It doesn't actually say which side is up, but I would think this cable would go on the bottom. So I'm a little concerned that this is upside down. There's one simple way to find out. Just plug that in. Nothing else will really fire up, but this should. And let me know what is going on. All of this stuff. Okay. Unplug whatever this is. Hopefully, yeah. I say when I unplug stuff off my power strip, I'm always worried that it's going to be something I really need. Okay, so let's spin this about here. Actually, I'm gonna look. Let's see, is this set to 230 volt? Yeah, it's set to 230. Let's set that over to 115. Plug in the power. Turn it around and turn on the power. Let's see. Yep, it's upside down. I was afraid of that. So, see, it's easy to make mistakes when building these. Don't fret, it happens. So, just go in here. Loosen these up. Take these screws out. See, this is where it'd be nice if they wrote like Sovol on the display there. It's just black. There's nothing really showing it. And what clued me off was that connector. I hadn't really thought about it until I went to plug it in and realized it was at the top of how I had it set up. And I was like, I don't think that's how it should be. And guess what? I was correct on that. So now I get to unscrew all of this. But, you know, stuff like this happens. It's just part of it. Just checking the belt really quick. Feels pretty taut. This wide belt's very taut. I like that. So I'll flip that around and put this here. There we go. Do this one more time to put everything back together. Gotta love these little mistakes like this. Thankfully, there's not a lot to put together, so there's not a lot to make mistakes on. And most of these, most of this is going to be, you can only put it together one way. Now, the gantry you could put backwards. So you want to make sure that the motor is basically to the back. So the motor there is to the back. And then you want to make sure that the print head is on the opposite side of what you're seeing here. So it's on the front. All right, let's turn this. Oh, I forgot to have this little one here. So yeah, there's the SV01, there's the Ender 3, and that's an Anycubic over there. That deltas are a lot of fun. I always forget that I have that little one going on when I'm doing a lot of this build. I remember when I want to show you guys something so I can bring it real close, but I generally forget about it while I'm in general use. Well, that was a lucky catch. Okay. So I've got that on. It does overhang the whoops, darn it. It does overhang more than I would prefer it to overhang. Kind of like how it was set up before. It's a little tight on that side. Shouldn't cause a problem, but I always like to have extra safety. A little extra room to wiggle, just in case. That's probably more just a personal preference, but it'll be nice to actually have it tight up against it too at the same time. There we go. That's on there solid. Unplug that. Okay, so now let's plug this bad boy back in. Here's the bed. And that's too far forward. Boy, this is kind of a bear to get all together here. So I'm gonna do this. Oops. Looks like it should be like that. There we go. Move everything up a little bit. So it doesn't look like this gives me as much clearance to go far forward as I would like it to go, but it goes far enough. Well, okay, maybe it can. Now that it's not hung up, it looks like it was hung up on something for a second, but that's good enough for me. So there we go. So I'm going to clean these up. These are the excess pieces, the extra nozzle if I need it. So this is a dual Bowden in, one nozzle out mixer. Now like I said, I've never used one of these before, so I'm actually pretty excited about using this. Move that up and plug this in. I'm running the cables around the outside so that they're not as likely to get in the way of the printer itself. Actually, that's going from the inside. There's not going to be enough room to put on the outside. That one's pretty tight as it is. Now, they've got zip ties here pretty tight around here, so that'll help keep like the one going back to the Y stop and the Y motor clean. Oops. So this is like a computer cable, and it goes directly up here. Oh, so those have to open up. Never seen one that clicks in quite like that before. All the computers I've done, it's actually kind of slick for controlling them. So this goes here, and it's got actually the control ribbon goes over here, and it's got two caps that go in the extrusion area to keep the cable out of the way, which is kind of a nice feature. I like that. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do with this. I just don't like having dingly parts on my printer just hanging out. But this looks like a pretty solid wrap job here. So now I'm going to have to put on the Z-stop. Let's see here. If I leave, no. Oh, here's the tool. Actually, this is what I need. Okay, so here we go. Get that a little loose because I know this is going to be too high. Now I'm going to have to play with that to get the Z height figured out. If you want to watch, I'm going to... So basically at this point, the printer is built. Actually, there's one more thing I guess I can do. I can put a bed on it. So just take the cover off. Throw that in the trash. Get this on without touching it too much. Getting too much of my greasy hands on it. And put the clips on. I generally, I don't know how other people do it. I generally like to do 2 in the back, 1 on the front right, because it seems like a lot of times when it's warming up or whatever, it likes to go across the front to wipe off excess material, and we'll bump into this if you've got one over here. So by doing this, it always seems to be pretty solid. Though I did have a problem when I was printing that said box earlier for my daughter. It did pop off. So I'm going to fire this up. Oh, look, I've got one on the display that I can pull off too. Plastic protection. Boy, that's all up under the cover. Difficult. Just want to get as much of it out of there as possible. Okay. And it's all in Chinese. Let's try settings. There we go. Here, let me fire this up. So if any of you were to do this, like just what I got, there we go. Let's grab my little camera here. So this is what I'm looking. Oh, actually, here, let's go back. So this is what I was looking at. You can see that it's showing other characters. Well, anyhow, those are not English, but down here, so basically hit the setting cog. Down here it's got an English to, I'm guessing, Chinese deal. You hit English, hit back, and look, it's all in English. So if you run into that, there you go. That's all you have to do. Pretty darn simple. Actually looking forward to the touchscreen here. So I'm going to set the temp, automatic PLA. So this is showing the nozzle. Sorry, I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit because that was really out of focus. Usually this camera does a lot better job of focusing. So I've got that going. So I'm heating the nozzle up to 195 and I'm heating the bed up to 60 degrees Celsius here. And I can hear that it's actually pretty quiet, much quieter than the SV01, which is really nice. So what I'm going to do is once the bed heats up and the nozzle, I'm going to bring it down and then get it to about where I want it. One thing too that I want to do is I want to get the springs compressed quite a bit. Because that is one of the things that really holds your zero. And also the other thing that I like about, so I talk about all the things that I like about these. You know, the full base, the dual, what's it called? You know what? I just realized I did not plug in. Let's turn this off. I did not plug this in. So it's got the full base, the feet, the dual Z motors and screws on there to raise that up. You know, it comes with the Ultra Touch style bed. There we go. Just a lot of features that I really like. And it also comes with these yellow springs. Like, that's what I, on my, with my article, I talk about on Enders 3s, I talk about these yellow springs. It's these higher quality springs. I really like them. It also has really, I really need to adjust my, make this cleaner looking. So you can see that it's got in there those yellow springs up there, and it's also got this larger, wider adjustment knob. Makes life so much easier. It really does. It's those right there are super quality of life features that make things so much easier when you're dealing with this stuff. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Just tell it to heat up again. So now we get to wait while it heats up. I'm trying to decide if this is a sticker or not. I think it's a... Oh, no, it's not. It's a piece of paper. A little thinner than I like, but I may use the double-sided to zero in the bed once this is done. Let's see here. So we're gonna move. I'm gonna move this up a little bit, and I'm gonna home it so that where I'm starting from is a little bit better position than where I'm at right now. Okay. So now it's homing itself. So it's gonna eventually reach the end here. Wish I could tell it to go a lot faster for the top part and then slow down towards the end. Yeah, that bed seems pretty solid. Okay, so you can see there's a huge gap here. Actually, you probably can't see that, can you? Let me fire this up again. I wonder if I can make this look a little prettier. There we go. That looks a lot better. Brighten up a little bit. A bit of contrast, a bit of sharpness, a bit of backlight compensation. There we go. That should help a little bit. Okay. So right now you can see that I've got this giant gap between the nozzle up here, way up there, I don't want to touch it, and the bed. That's where I want to start from. So now, because where I want it to be at, I want the Z to basically touch the bed now. Let's see, Z. Okay, that was actually a little lower than I meant it to be. I don't want to hear that skip like that when it's adjusting it. That's a little further down what I wanted it to go. So let's hit home again. That still's a little higher than I want it to be. Or how much lower I can get this. Oops. This one did not catch. Okay. Get that loosened so that it'll catch again. There we go. So let's see if this will work. Okay, so that is too far. So let's try this. So now, let's see here. So I'm hitting auto home now. So I'm going to go to 0.2. So this is what it looks like. So I just hit 2 and it went to this point here. Now I'm going to let this out until it reaches that point. I can see just touching it now. I can feel it grabbing. Yeah, it feels pretty good right there. So now I'm going to hit 3. So that's the other front spot over here. Let this one out. I will admit this is a little higher up than I would prefer for a printer, but you know, it'll work. I do like the springs compressed more, but it's not, the bed does not travel that far down. And remember, when you're leveling the bed, you want to do this with the bed hot. I'm going to actually put this to the center because I want to have access to this better. There we go. I was beginning to think that I was going the wrong direction there. Oops. A little bit more, a little less. There we go. So now let's go to number 4. So I'll be at that back corner there. Oops. So let's Loosen this up. Okay. Now let's go to 5. So doing this side last, and then I'm going to go around this a couple more times. The initial balancing act here tends to be, I tend to do it several times to make sure I get a good fit here. So that, now we're going to go back up to number 2 here. Oops. Gotta be careful with that, don't I? So actually, that feels pretty good. I like the feel of that. Usually I don't have it feeling so good after the first try like that. So I'm kind of surprised. Aha, see, that one's too tight. And hopefully I go the right way. There we go. Feels pretty good. Let's go back to number 2 again. Make sure I didn't knock the 0 off of this too bad. So usually I would not use a doubled up. Yeah, I knocked it off. Usually I would not use a doubled up piece of paper here, like I am here, but on this one you kind of want to. Actually, I hit 5, but I really want to go to 4. There we go. I hit 5 and then I hit 4. So this is the one I really want to go to now. Yeah, it's too tight. This it's too loose. That's just about right. We'll go back over here and then come back. Accidentally pulled it out. Did not mean to do that. That one actually feels pretty good. This one, minor fix there. Now back over here again. I actually end up being pretty good too. So now I'm going to go back to 2. So that'll be this corner here, this front corner. We're about to the point that I'm going to, yeah, now I'm going to try the center point. Make sure it feels good. So this is point 1. That's kind of a low point there. I don't like that. So let's go back over to 3 here. So that's a little loose. So I may have to be a little tighter on these to get the center good, if the center's got just a little bow to it. Go over here. Oops. Yeah, like that. That feels pretty good. So let's go back to number 1 again and hope that Yeah, like I said, that's a little more give than I like. I may put some aluminum foil under there to get it to work, but it should work without that. It's a little looser than I would prefer, but it should still work. Oops. There we go. So there we go. I've got it set up. I'm going to next. I will get it all. I'll finish getting the filament installed on it. I will see what's on here. Let's actually see what's on this SD card. Let's see if I'll be able to see it. Let's see here. So it looks like there's actually 1, 2, 5 items on here, including the cube. So I'm going to have to figure out what all those are, get that all set up and get that printed. But that should be done here probably pretty soon. Probably by tomorrow. I'll try to get my web page up. I generally like to do a web page along with these, not just the video, but I also try to get a web page up pretty quick. So again, that'll be makerfun3d.com. Oh, this actually has clips on the Bowden tube holders. They just do a lot of little things like that make it pretty nice. Like the SV01 is already set up to be able to just hook up a BL Touch to it and it'll work. I would assume this has something similar. I'm not 100% sure. I've not actually looked into it. I may actually put the BL Touch over here, put the silent board and laser on the SV01. We'll have to see. I'm not really totally sure which one I'm going to do, but we'll have to see which way it goes. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video, this build of the Sovol 3D SV02. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. You've always heard from everybody. Please like and subscribe. It'll really helps the algorithm. It'll help my channel out. It'll help me out. It would be nice to be able to monetize my channel someday. So I really appreciate it. Any help you guys can give me with that. This is my big hobby, is doing stuff like this. So I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff and creating content. So thank you for joining me. Thank you once again to Sovol 3D for sending this 3D printer out. I cannot wait to get a bunch of prints off of it. I'm hopeful that it'll be a workhorse like my other one, just being able to print 2 different colors at once instead of just one. I've already got Cura set up. I have Simplify 3D, but it doesn't update very often. So I've already got Cura 3D hooked up, the 4.8 version, or set up, not hooked up, but set up to do dual filament with this printer configured already. So I'm looking forward to slicing some items and getting those printed and seeing what they look like. So again, thank you for joining me and have a great rest of the day. Bye.